Namaskar. Uh, Today we will be talking about the Gaza peace deal, which is in the news in the last 1 week, and that lecture will be very relevant in some of the courses which are being taught in MPS 107 and 103. At the same time, BPS 140, and there are other couple of courses in interdisciplinary schools. But for anyone, whoever is a student of any of the university, that becomes more meaningful and interesting to navigate and understand what is a Gaza peace deal approach and what is the basic understanding of Indian foreign policy of the conflict which is running on a very high pitch between Hamas and Israel for the last 2 years. It is a very old issue, so we will be unfolding in a very simple terms where are the problems, what are the problems, and what are the ways to resolve the problems, and how does India look at the issue, which is a very complex and deep-rooted, but to large extent killing of the large number of the human, especially the very young children and women, are the victims of this conflict. So fundamentally, Gaza peace deal, which has been drafted by America under the leadership of America, the Trump 20-point agenda, in which Jordan and Egypt are partners. Qatar is also is a part of the mediators team, and the purpose is very simple: to stop the war, stop the conflict between Hamas and Israel, which is almost for 2 years it is continuing. All we know that on 7th of October in 2023 there was unprecedented unprovoked attack by Hamas on Israel, which killed more than 1,200 people, innocent people, on that day. And then since then, Israel had multiple angle attacked the civilians of Hamas, as well as the many parts of the other wherever the Palestinians are living. So, in a nutshell, what is the issue? That is very important to understand. Then we can think about it and learn about the Gaza peace deal. The fundamental features of the Gaza peace deal are 20 points. As I said, it been earmarked by the American president. The intention is very clear, and he has the support of most of the European countries, I could say most of the countries of the world, including India, and endorsement also being expressed by the Arab countries as well. And they want that at any cost the conflict must end at this point, and relief must be restored for the commoners who are the biggest sufferers of this conflict. The first point, the major point of this peace deal is about exchange of prisoners. As we understand, when on 7th of October on 2023, Hamas attacked on civilians. It killed more than 1,200 people, and some of them, those who were alive, were put under the prison by the Hamas. The number is still not very clear, but there are large number of the Israelis are under the control, under the jails of the Palestine. At the same time, when Israel started attacking the Palestinian, there are thousands of the people are under the Israeli jail. So the exchange of prisoners is one of the prime conditions of this peace deal. Another important factor is immediate ceasefire. The ceasefire means no offense will be used by the either side, not by Israeli military, nor by any of the organizations, militant organizations, primarily the Hamas of Palestine. And third, which is a little controversial, complete surrender of Hamas. I mean, Hamas must abdicate its military approach, offensive approach, which has created this problem. Because that was the surprise attack on 7th of October, militant attack by Hamas. And that is why Israel wants complete surrender of Hamas. The fourth criteria is about reaching out and providing the humanitarian aid, because sufferers are from the both sides, but largely the Gaza Strip, where the thousands of the people live together, means Palestinian as well as Israeli, they are being completely taken aside, and minimum help is not being reaching out to them. So that is the fourth criteria. And the fifth, on the Gaza Strip, there should not be any Palestinian government or Hamas government. It could be under the international monetary system. Besides the five criteria, there are many other 15 criteria which are important for both of us. But the most controversial part is about governance of Gaza Strip. Who will take care? Who will be in the charge of the Gaza Strip? Whose words will be followed? And there, the disagreement between the Hamas and Israel still persists. And the second controversial part of this agreement, where the two community disagree, is about complete surrender, military surrender of the Hamas, which Hamas is not willing to ready. And they want complete assurance that Israeli in the future will not attack. So these are the 2 points. Besides the 2 points, there are many other controversial parts. One nation theory and two nation theory, which still exist. America is vying for the two nation theory. Palestine and Israel will continue to exist side by side on the same land, and will run the system, and which neither Israel nor Palestine, especially run by the Hamas, agree to this. There are other regional factors are equally important, and all we know that Iran, Jordan, Turkey, Lebanon, Chile, many of the countries are involved in this peace deal directly or indirectly. So that also impact on this whole issue. When did it start? Let's begin with the background. The Israel-Philistine conflict is very old, and it is called the oldest existing conflict in the world politics. It has started in the 19th century, late part of the 19th century and the early 20th century, when Zionism, the concept of Zionism established Jews were living in the different parts of the world, and they wanted to have their own homeland, and Jerusalem is supposed to be their epicenter, and that is why they wanted to move into that area. For many years, that area was being occupied by Turkey's Ottoman Empire, and that ruled for many decades. When during the First World War it was being defeated, so from the First World War to Second World War, the governance and occupations of that area were under the British rule. And when Britain realized that now it is also a declining power which cannot control the complete area as it used to, so then it put into the UN agenda, and UN started looking into this area according to the international law. But before doing that, Britain facilitated thousands of the Jews who were in the different parts of the Europe to migrate to Jerusalem and have their own land, their own country. And that is how this problem started. The Arab countries, they were against it. They were not willing to accept this fact that the Jews will migrate from different parts of the world to Jerusalem. And they went against this. And that is how the first phase of Arab nationalism, which has a common ground against Zionism. And then after, what do we see? That the conflict between the two communities started brewing, and they were against each other. Since Britain and European countries, they wanted that under the severe persecutions of Nazism, the Hitler, thousands and lakhs of the Jews were being facilitated to settle down in the Jerusalem, and that is how they settled down. And then the problem started between the two. One land, one country, two state, one state and two nations system started existing under the umbrella supervision of United Nations. United Nations was a new body which was being created immediately after the Second World War, and in 1948 the issue blown up, the conflict blown up to a well-declared war between Israel and Arab countries. In Arab countries, if you name them, Philistine, Jordan, Lebanon, Turkey were on the one side. Since Israel was being supported by the European countries, including America, Israel managed to defeat these Arab countries and occupied a large chunk of the areas which are still controversial: the West Bank, Jerusalem, Gaza Strip, and some other parts. So this system continued, and 1948, the first war which took place. Then in 1973, another turning point where again the same team was there. Israel was being supported by the European countries, and a few other Arab countries were on the other side, and they had war. They had a conflict, and again Israel managed to win the war. His system continued further in 1968, 1973. Then there was a major agreement were being drafted, which is called Oslo Peace. There was many agreements which took place in between, but one of them in 1993, the Oslo Peace Accord was a milestone to bring the peace between the two communities. It also failed because it did not have much substance into it. They did not agree. The fundamental theory which emerged from this conflict of the two-nation concept is the two-nation is acceptable. The two-nation theory is acceptable within the same territory, one state and two nation, which is still disputed, and that is how Israeli look this issue from a different perspective, and Palestinian look at from the different perspective, and that is why they still do not agree. They want the whole chunk of the land should be their homeland. Israeli want the same. Their whole chunk of the land should be the Israeli land. So this issue continued, which has started in 1948 till 2025. But in between, there are many other players also involved. The major players is one of the leading country which is involved is Iran. The involvement of Iran in this conflict has flared up this and made it more complex. There are many proxy organizations were being created. Earlier, in the 70s and 80s, there was one organization which was vouching for the cause of Palestine, was the PLO, which was led by Arafat. And he wanted, through the dialogue, through the peace, it should be achieved. It was less militant than what the later on Fatah and Hamas emerged from the same community. When it failed, then there was another organization which was being created by the Palestine, that is a Fatah, which was ruling over in the different Palestine-dominated area, and they wanted to have their own say in that. But again, it was little less militant than the Hamas, and when it failed again from the other parts from the same community, Hamas emerged as a more blatant militant organization for the Palestinian cause. And it had a support of some of the Islamic countries. Largely, Iran was supporting to great extent of fighting against the Israeli forces. And that is how this issue became more complex. On the other hand, Israel itself, if you look at the population of Israel, it is almost 1/3 of the Palestinian in the same territory. They are migrated. There is a strong diaspora of the Israeli in the different parts of the world. But largely those who are living in the West Bank, or Jerusalem, or Gaza Patti, their population, if you accumulate, it is almost 1/3 of the Palestinians. So the Palestinians are also scattered. If you look at the problem of this conflict, largest number of diaspora, largest number of the population of Palestinian are living outside the Palestine. And they are being called a diaspora of Palestinian people, in which Jordan occupies the largest number of the Palestinian people living there. It is almost 6 million, 60 lakh people are living there. There is another 3 point something in Syria, then some in Iran, Lebanon, Turkey. Chile is another non-Arab countries where the Palestinian people are living. So this is how it has very complex situation have emerged out of this issue, and provided a larger space to the regional player to play a key role, and in which Iran emerged to be the new caliphate of Islamic State, of providing all kind of militant supports to Hamas, and that created a problem. And you might have seen in the last 2.5 years when the issue started. First, it was against the Hamas. Then the conflict diverted from Hamas to Israel versus Iran, and many of the top leaders and supporters of Palestine in Iran were being targeted by Israeli military. Now, the backbone of Israel strength is its own military strength, as well as the strength which it receives from America and many of the European countries. So Israel has a team which supports the cause of Israel, and America is the leading partner. It has also military support, and then many other ways it supports the cause of Israel. Now, in this juncture, what is the roadmap? After understanding the background of Israel-Hamas conflict. Hamas, when we are talking about Hamas, we are talking about Palestine. Hamas is one of the militant organizations which is driving and running the political system of Palestine. As earlier it was done by the PLO, then there was another political party, less militant, less than Hamas, was Fatah. It also ruled for some years. When Fatah failed, Hamas came on the driving seat. Hamas is more militant, and it is fighting for the cause of most of the political master who take the decision, whose orders are being functional. That is Hamas. And that is how Israel wants, the very categorical terms, Israel wants that Hamas must surrender its arms and ammunitions completely, which Hamas says it is not possible at all, because they are living in the same territory. Quite often they are being targeted by the Israeli military. So we cannot surrender unless until we get the complete guarantee and assurance Israel will not attack. So it is like they are living in the same house, only certain demarcations, man-made structure are there. Same land, same rivers, same mountains. So it is not possible. The crossing and mishappenings cannot be ruled out. And that becomes more complex when country like Lebanon, country like Iran, country like Turkey, which provide military assistance to many fighting militant organizations like Hamas and Houthis and many others, which are fighting for the cause of Palestinians. The Houthis are not from Palestine, but they are militant organization on the name of Islam. They create problem, they fight against the Israel, and that is how religion, ideology, sovereignty, self-determination, there are many factors which combine together, and when they are combined together, they make this issue more inflammable, more complex and complicated to understand. But as a student of geopolitics, a student of international politics and political science, we need to understand in very clear terms there are two different communities are living. If you communities, you could understand the two nationalities are living in the one state. There is one territory. The territory is not very large. If you look at the map, the Jordan, the river which demarcates the eastern Jerusalem and western Jerusalem, East Bank and West Bank, they are conflicting areas where they fight together. Thousands and lakhs of the Palestinians are living under the occupied region of Israel. The governance system is Israeli. Lakhs of the Palestinians are living under this umbrella of Israel. So how could you guarantee, means they are living together, at any point of time, any mishappening can take place. So the UN has come out in 1948 and it continued in Balfour Accord and many other parts. There should be two-nation theory. Two-nation theory means Israel and Palestine state will exist side by side, and there should be a complete peace and non-military approach of the both side will exist, and there should not be attack. But there's an ideal situation which looks very unlikely, and that is how that is why the 20 points agreement and the Gaza peace deal has number of caveats, number of ifs and buts. It might be the US is trying with good intention, Trump is trying to make the peace deal to get the Nobel Peace Prize, but that is not possible unless until concrete controversial issues which are lingering between the two should be addressed properly. But nevertheless, the Indian understanding is very clear. We support a peace. We support a ceasefire. Our Prime Minister has been talking for the long time. There should not be attack. He condemned the 7th October attack. He condemned the many other points, and that is how voting, if you look at the voting of India in the General Assembly and Security Council, it has accordingly, the track record is very clear. But nevertheless, Gaza peace deal is a good proposal. That is why it has been endorsed by most of the countries of the world. And if it succeeds, definitely it will bring peace and normalcy, which is non-existent at this point of time in Gaza and West Bank and many other parts of the territory. So with this, I think if you read more literature, articles which are appearing in the newspaper, that will give you more knowledge about this topic. For this, thank you very much.